She's coming. She'll be a little late. Okay, the time is now 5 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and start with our work session, and then we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll do the roll call. Rick?
Here.
Cindy?
Yes, here.
Fantastic. Kyle?
Here.
Awesome. Mrs. McMurray will be a little bit late, and I'm here as well. I'm keeping the notes tonight too, guys, so here we go. All right. At this time, I would love a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Rick.
I'll second.
Second by Cindy. All right. The motion on the table is for the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Rick?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Motion passes. Okay. First item on the agenda is board policy updates. Those were in emails, and
Yeah, I
Mr. Moran.
emailed out to them as well, and you have the draft. So the fall policy is the volume 43, number 1 that is out. When I say we, it's Ms. Strum and Ms. Dillard. I spent a lot of time with Mr. Burkhart in the last few months to go through all these policies where we finished up the 8,000s today, and we have 9,000s left to go. So we're just kind of chunking up the 7,000 updates and the fall policy that I shared with everybody. There's a couple of them I shared with you that I just wanted to go over real quick. Policy, and again, if you go into your policies draft, you see bylaws that has all the different changes that are done. Again, if it has green on it or red on it, green means it's been added, red means it's been deleted. And you have all those in there. Bylaws, we'll have to do that separately when we vote on those, because bylaws require a 4-person vote, affirmative vote to change a bylaw. The other ones are 3. So in December, we'll have the first draft for that. But I wanted to go over real quick in the 2000s, the 2430 district-sponsored clubs and activities. So when you go into this piece, we are looking at changing the GPA to go to the 1.5 versus the 1 that matches the student handbook. So that's something that's in green about halfway down in the board policies. And that will be each grading period, and they have to have that for that. So that's really a big change. Not big, but it's matching what we have in the handbook. The district, the 2431, which is actually right next, I figured we'd throw that in there too. We talked about interscholastic athletics, and in the green part, we are making the purpose of the policy. So include activities related to all sports, game events, sports exhibition, and individual students or teams within the district of another district. And then again, we add the 1.5 GPA piece to that, so it matches again on there. When you go to 5610.05 prohibition from extracurricular activities, we did have some changes on this for language purposes. If you bring that up, 5610.05. So again, people that are in the extracurricular activities are held to the student code of conduct and student discipline code, and we remove that for a period not to exceed the remainder of the school year in which the offense or violation, again, to match what the code of conduct is for athletics, but it really should be, the athletic code of conduct really should be extracurricular code of conduct for all staff or for all students. And again, they are allowed to, you may be prohibited depending on your behavior, whether to do extracurricular activities. And that could be extracurricular activities, quiz bowl, any extracurricular activity that competes really is one of those. If it's like marching band is a extracurricular activity. Co-curricular activities are activities that are part of the classroom. So in the high school area, you're looking at like a choir concert. Well, they have a choir class. Part of their grade is going to perform in a choir concert. So you have to have, we can't deny them a grade, so to speak, to do that. But again, just trying to get clean language on there. Cindy, Amber, was there anything in your guys' thought, anything that you thought was important to share with those policies? I know it's been a lot.
It's been a lot.
Yeah.
I think there's been great discussion though to like get to the root cause of how we want to clear things up.
Yeah, a lot of really pretty minor kinds of things, and just making sure that things were included, proper language, a little. I think you explained it well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they're major, but they are changes that need to know. You go to 5771 with search and seizure. In our policy, it said search and seizure of a person or intimate person belonging shall be conducted by a person of the student's gender. Well, if I have 2 males or 2 females, it may not always be the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to say, if possible, we added that language in there for that. So again, while maybe minor, and it's still important that we have to work within our boundaries of what we have. This is board policy 6233, just amenities we added, just that, again, the board could give gifts such as we do for teacher of the year and things like that as it's appropriate, of reasonable value. And again, we're not going to be lavish with anything, but we wanted to make sure we had that in there to provide the board the ability to do those things. And 7250 is just again an example, commemoration of school facilities. We just took out some language that just says somebody wants to request that a building be named in somebody's honor or by means of a plaque, that they bring to the superintendent, and then the board just allows the superintendent to decide to do whatever they need to, either deny the recommendation or approve the recommendation. That's still the board's prerogative to do that. So again, nothing terrible. Again, when you look at that fall update, it also has that financial, that UGG, the UGG language, just a lot of financial piece to update to match the federal guidelines. And again, I really think it's just a lot of language and little tweaks here and there. Nothing major that we haven't discussed to go over. So again, feel free to look at all of those policies. And again, I don't know, did you were able to look at those again, Rick?
Yeah, mine doesn't show the color on it though, so.
Really?
I'm not-
To go into
Are you
the
looking
revised
at draft?
piece.
You gotta go
Yeah,
to
you go to
draft,
draft.
yes.
Well,
If you're in the policy memo, you have to hit draft.
I'll
okay,
show you. I'll
okay.
make sure you
Yeah.
have
Okay.
access to it.
All right.
Again, it'll show up
Mhm.
on there. I'll do that before the next
Okay,
meeting, so I
thank
can
you.
show you where to go.
So is this Neola
This is all
suggestions?
Neola's, yes.
Okay,
All Neola
I kind of thought
updates.
that that's probably what
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was.
and if you go through there, you look at all these, again, the zeros through the 7,000s. We've done a lot of updating. Some are we're rescinding because we don't need them,
Mhm.
and some are updating language. Some we didn't have policy that we thought we should have policy from the templates that Neola provides. Some we had some custom ones that we liked and kept, or we tweaked on our own. So lots of reading, but nothing nothing that really changes anything
Mhm.
in regards to how we operate and what's important. But if it's a new policy, you'll see where it says new policy for TCEBSD.
Uh-huh.
Like
Okay.
we didn't have a holiday policy for administration in the 1000s. Well, we need to have that. We had it for the others, just not for administration. Okay?
It's been a great learning experience. We've spent probably 20 meetings,
Oh, yeah.
but
At
it's
least.
really been valuable for me, going through every single policy and really getting to know the different, the 2000s versus the 6000s, and so it's been a great experience, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to do it, so thank you.
And I personally love policy now that I've been doing it for 3 years, but I love sometimes seeing how one policy kind of compiles to another one, and there's lots of times where they overlap. And so we've had to go back a lot of times too and look at a previous policy that was close to it, that represented something that was another part of another policy. So I guess moving forward in the future, I think this is something that we should probably do every couple years would be my suggestion.
It's about every 5 to 7 years. They
Yeah.
recommend.
I know it's been a lot longer than that. I think they said, 08 with some of our policies.
It's been a while, I
It's
think,
been a
since we've
minute.
had.
So I would
Had
just say in
this.
the future, that would be something that
Yeah.
I think moving forward, we pay attention to. And then anything that we add coming forward too, not just from Neola, but if like something changes within our district, we need to make sure that we create a policy for it too, or have some sort of guidelines. So we're not going back and reinventing wheels. Would be my
And
thought.
Neola does this for hundreds
Mhm.
of school districts in the state. So I think they got a good grasp on it. Norton's been good to work with.
This is more comprehensive and targeted. I know a lot of districts try to do policy within the school year, like try to update policy as they go, but it's kind of really hard to cover all the policy, and get your regular business done. So to me, I think this is much more efficient and more focused. So
Well, thank you two for doing this.
Yeah, they've been a good help, and whether it's online or showing up to the board
that a
meetings
lot.
early today, like early today, Cindy was there bright and early, ready to go at 8 o'clock. So it was
Good
all
job, Cindy.
So again, look that stuff over, and we'll have the first reading in December then.
And if you have any questions about anything, I tried to take notes on those little, where we can put notes in the policy, the little, if anybody had a question about something, like if we were changing something. So if you have a question, just shoot me an email and I'll try to look it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a question about.
Sorry, I asked a question. When I was looking through the drafts, I saw it said that we would be a member of the Miami Valley, and then it was Career Technology Center was struck and replaced with Joint Vocational School. And I asked why, and I just had a meeting at OSBA and with ESC of Central Ohio, and I've heard they're going back to Joint Vocational Schools now. So I didn't know.
Their official
So-
names.
Their official
Yeah,
name
mhm,
is, yeah.
yeah,
Does it function the same way? They're just changing the name?
The names just.
the names.
Wow.
It used to be called, everything used to
We'd
be
be the
called
joint.
JVS.
JVS.
Now they
JVS, Joint
Okay.
Vocational.
Changed it to CTCs, but I think they're still operating as.
A
Joint
joint
vocational
vocational school. That's their
Wow.
registered.
I hadn't even heard that.
Yeah.
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 They never changed that
No,
with the.
The registered,
school district numbers
correct.
Right.
and all of that.
Yes.
with their name.
there was a whole discussion on that too at OSBA. 'Cause
Yep.
There was a thing on we'll get to that later. I didn't put that in there, but I'd like to talk about OSBA conference, but we'll do that later. Okay. Are
I'll be quiet now.
we
Yeah.
good?
Yep, we're good. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is the organizational meeting and the time in January. So again, the organizational meeting is, you have to have it in the first 15 days of January. We select president, vice president during that time, and do a couple things. If you look at our previous organizational meeting. Let the president, let the vice president, we set the board meeting dates and times, and the frequency, date and times. And then we'll do, and that's all. Dave had a couple resolutions that finances, but this is really, really pretty easy. We did do a couple other things. Who's gonna be our lawyers at the time?
Yeah.
In the consent agenda. You give the superintendent the approval to hire until the next board meeting. And, yeah. Appoint the treasurer as the designee to receive public records training on behalf of that, so.
Until we're
Really,
moving.
yeah, just, it could, I don't know if it'll last 20 minutes. So if, I'm open to suggestions, when we want to do it, we just have to have it within the first 15 days of January.
No,
My suggestion would be the first Tuesday in January, which
January
coincides with
7th.
what we used to have, yeah.
I agree.
So,
We should get it in place.
Mhm.
so
That
now
way
it's
we got a
the
2-week
7th,
spread.
Yeah,
so it'd be
Kyle?
Tuesday,
thoughts?
January 7th. Did you have another right thought?
no, I was wondering if, does this have to be an independent standalone meeting, or is there a scenario
Yes.
in which it's gotta be its own
Mhm.
meeting? Or is there a scenario
Well-
in which we kinda treat it like we have the work sessions? Where you have the
That's what
organizational
we-
meeting, and then you do a
And-
regular meeting
yeah.
after that, or?
That's what we've always done.
Well, but at this meeting, you're
Well, it's
also.
it's records meeting.
Well, you're also setting your board meeting dates and times, remember?
Yeah, at that.
So you can't say, we're gonna have a board meeting, you can't set our board meeting date on the same day you're having
Okay, let me.
your organizational meeting, you gotta give notice.
So the calendar we set this year was only good.
Only for
next year.
2020.
We have to do that.
And that's
Yeah,
why we had
every
to
year.
amend it to move
To
to
move, yeah.
this, to the third
Gotcha.
Tuesday for board
So-
meetings and times.
The
Sorry,
7th.
guys, my computer's gonna ding at me. I didn't close
I
it.
think that sounds good, like Rick said, the
Yeah.
first Tuesday. And then our regular board meeting would not be until the 21st, so that's 2
Yeah.
weeks
Correct.
following,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That would be our
Right.
first official regular meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we could, again, we could
As
do,
we set it, if we set
Yeah.
it that
If we
way
set it that
on
way,
the 7th.
right.
Yeah,
you could set the work sessions then.
because we always do organizational and then records right behind
Yeah.
it. Last year we did have it on a Wednesday, just FYI.
Oh.
And then our regular meeting started on Tuesdays after that. Because
Okay.
It was like-
Rick, did
it
we
was
do
like
Monday and
January
Wednesday? Was
2nd.
that our?
Yeah, we
The
used to
year
do
before was
Mondays,
Monday and
yeah.
Wednesday?
Monday,
Yeah, and
Tuesday,
then we-
or something like that.
Yeah, it was all different times. We
Yeah.
didn't have consistency, but
Mhm.
or maybe we did for the first year, but then life changed things. So,
So the 7th, do we want to do it at
Yeah.
6 PM?
That sounds
good.
great.
Does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Okay, so this will get put on for the regular meeting for
For a
setting motion to do that. And again, I'm looking at 20 minutes. And we can do that at the board office
Mhm.
then as well.
so then we'll set records for 6:30 then, right after it.
Or 5:30.
Okay,
you
well,
wanna
no,
do
if
it.
we're doing 6,
Does it have to be afterwards?
yeah, records has
Okay.
to be after, because we have to already have a president in order to
Okay.
continue with,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Then we'll do that then.
Okay, so we'll do 6:30 will be records then. I'm just writing that down, so we remember to do a motion. Okay. Oh, I wrote the wrong date. It's the 7th. I have 6 in my brain. Sorry, guys. I wanted it to match. January 6th, 6 PM. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. All right.
All right, and then,
Next is construction.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, the meetings for that.
well, we have our kickoff meeting tomorrow, and OFCC said it doesn't necessarily need to involve anybody, but if somebody wants to come, you're welcome to come. It's gonna be, our kickoff meeting is at 1 o'clock tomorrow at the board office. I guess most of our meetings are during the day. I think, well, they all are during the day.
Yeah, they are. during
So
the
I
day.
don't, I don't think it's very
That's fine.
conducive to have. But is that something that people want to, is there anybody that really wants to be?
I would like to try to be involved with it.
Me too.
So,
I would too.
So do you want me to just shoot emails out when things are happening and then let me know?
That'd be great.
Just like
Yeah,
what,
Just
kind of what I've
calendar
done.
invitations.
Yeah, and I think, as long as you keep us up to date on what
Yeah.
happened during the meeting, that's the important part.
Well, and we can even make sure that it's something that we talk about in our work sessions
Mhm.
too,
Yeah,
moving forward.
yep.
So that way we have communication on it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there gonna be a regular meeting scheduled for these?
Soon, yeah, we'll have, they're called owner architect and, so OAC meetings, owner architect construction. We'll have probably bi-weekly meetings. They haven't been set yet, but those will be happening. And, we've had a few meetings, looking at design, and I sent those to everybody here.
Yeah,
Just,
a little bit ago.
yeah, we got some more today, and again, I can kind of go through this, kind of what the concept is. So when you look at the floor plan, we're really looking to consolidate some space that allows for things to remain, to maybe look at, maybe save some money. So the first one is something from our consultant, but I'd rather go to the second one where it says PK8 concept floor plan. And this is, again, this is rough drafts of what Garner Miller had kind of looked at when they looked at those long hallways.
Wait, what is that? I'm sorry. Can
So
you
if-
go back?
So
it's
you
in
go,
your email.
so
I
the-
know.
Oh,
Which one is
It's
it?
the
the
second
second
one, so
So
Tip
it's
City
the-
PK8 design options.
Okay, okay. Got
Design
it.
review.
Sorry, it took me a second.
Nope,
I was
you're
writing
okay.
notes too, sorry.
So you go to, page, what's it, 5, concept A, where they looked at really kind of having that pod, and we're really looking at this 3-story concept for staffing. I don't mind that. I just don't like, with concept A, we talked about it's too far away from the other areas. So we're trying to keep everything together. But when you look at it, again, there's classrooms, so a grade level would have its own pod, they'd have its own collaboration station, restrooms, and even staff restrooms would be there as well. We're really looking to consolidate and be intentional with space for everything. And this actually has the square footage. This actually would meet the square footage of needs, and you can see what the positives and negatives they had for that. When you look at concept B, again, we're shrinking the size a little bit. They had two wings on the top. Again, it's a more of a bigger footprint, but the same type of thing with pods. And we're really trying to work on that collaboration because we think it's important for the kids. Concept C is really, if you look at right above where it says concept C, you see the purple and yellow. That's kind of what it is rotated on concept C. So you have, again, the pods, you have various support specials there for everybody, and the idea would be to have everything where you need it. So every pod, so we'd have a K1-2 level, and your media center, STEM, PE, art classes would all be in that same hallway. We would, again, not have this going up and down stairs, right now, again, you're on one side of Broadway, to get the other side of Broadway seems like it takes forever when you're walking down there, and especially those little kids and their little legs, so it takes a little while. So we want to have everything there. So, and that really, we're working kind of a hybrid of all these, and this is, when you look at the very first one I showed you, this is sort of what, kind of another rendition is. We're gonna kind of have the pods. We have this, where it says flex specials, again, there's bigger spaces, so we could have that. Even like where we have it right now, you look across from where it says flex specials, and then you see like A for, in between the pods, well, those would be like administrative offices. So again, the principals, counselors, nurses, specials, teachers, everybody's there where they need to be. And we would look at having the entrance where it says the dining and commons area, we would have a smaller footprint there. So we would have reception, SRO for security purposes, and maybe some secretaries there to help manage it. Because when you go into this office or you go to any school office, there's a lot going on. Kids are coming in and out of it all the time. And some of it's, you know, maybe it's not the best place for people to be and add to that chaos.
Yeah.
You got sick kids all the time. I mean, you got things, people coming in and out. Well, if we could keep that away and have some, maybe some meeting spaces on the side. So if we're having a meeting, well, let's take it all off to the side, get away from where all the action is, bring people over here. We're thinking, again, be more efficient and purposeful with our space. And that allows then, again, everybody to be where they need to be. But we still need to have a presence at the front for entrances, for people coming in to drop stuff off. We can get that, we can bring it to the people. We can have, you know, student aides if we needed to help deliver stuff if that's what we needed to do. But really have the staff where the kids are at. And even, again, I'm looking at where principals are. Again, principal at Broadway's down by the cafeteria, and they got everything else on one side. Even here, main office here, pretty much all the classrooms are all the way over there. Be where the kids are at. So that's kind of what we're looking at. That's kind of our focus. And as we're working through this, we're gonna, maybe sooner than I thought, I was thinking maybe beginning of the year, but we might have some things to share with staff and community as we start honing down this concept. And we're really looking at, you know, if we don't need to get rid of the tennis courts, that keeps green space over here. Again, for all the Pee Wee football and track, we don't have to mess with that. Might be something that saves us some resources to make happen.
Are you still thinking 3 stories?
Still thinking 3 stories.
So the visual picture that's kind of like it's at the very
It's this one,
beginning,
right?
it's
This
like
over,
No.
no.
page 2 that shows the aerial view. I guess I didn't realize that it was gonna be that close to LT Ball.
Yeah, it could be, the closest it could be is like 30 feet.
And the outside, the exterior looks inviting. It seems like there's lots of windows.
Yeah.
I think it has an appealing external, if that's the way the outside will look.
Which concept is reflected in that rendering? Is that A?
I would assume it's A.
Which one? The
The-
revised
The
concept?
aerial photo or the
This-
aerial
this-
rendering?
That's more of a C, I'd say, more of a C
Okay.
look.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's the one that we wouldn't have to redo the tennis courts.
We would leave the tennis courts as is. And then
Where?
we have,
Where are they?
no,
Oh.
you're on the wrong one.
Yeah, you're not gonna see it.
Go to the other one, the previous one, the one before that. No, not on here, the actual other file.
Thank you. I'm still in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the 2-pager.
got it.
Visual person, I have to.
Yeah.
You gotta go
Nice to see it for sure.
Mhm.
And this would
go
give,
back and
again,
look at the maps.
even the classroom on the inside, you know, if we had the specials there, I'd still like to find we'd still bring in light. So light from the commons area, they would have windows out into the commons area that would have light, you know, natural light coming in. So even though it's not gonna be like this where you have no windows.
Yeah.
You're gonna have windows, for people. Because we think that's important. And again, if you're on the 2nd or 3rd story, you'll have clear views even. So we're trying to figure all that out. I know the architects are looking at the visual pleasability and making sure it works well for them. And
Like the
we're looking
aesthetic.
at, the aesthetics, and I'm looking at the functionality of putting things together. and then elevators have to come in here
Yeah.
and all that.
So the
as
only
well.
question that I had asked the other day was, if teachers had any input on kind of like the style of things, moving forward, because I just, like, this building just gives me
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
so just making sure that
yeah,
it's
then this is, once we have something like this, then we can
perfect.
go to them. That, the next, as I said, hopefully we might be closer to having that before break versus after January, I'm hoping.
Yeah, because I just
It's been
remember
a
the
lot.
old design, the biggest issue was like the large open areas where, the kids are playing or whatever, and then the classrooms being around it, so like gym and it being really loud, and then it's hard.
Yeah.
So those kind of things, just looking.
You're
Yeah.
talking about like the floor plan layout, right?
Yeah,
Not
so
like-
not,
Not like finishes or what
which,
it's gonna,
sorry Liz, I'm bothering you, which floor plan was that where it was like more open, the concept idea, and the teachers?
Proposed K-5 building on
Thank,
site.
thank you.
It was an open gym concept, and so in order to get from point A to point B for the most part, you have to go outside of this open space, and I'm concerned about the sound.
Yeah, yeah, so those are just things that I'm thinking about as I'm looking at these concept plans too, is that those kind of things are considered in the design process. There's nothing worse than trying to teach a class, and I don't know how the teachers do it half the time here, with kids going in and out for like bathroom and things like that. Like those kind of things I think are really important to consider in any design we're even
Yep.
looking at in the concept level. So,
I can tell you that, so I had a chance to work at Arcanum in Dark County, and there, it was set up in pods like this for grade band, and then the kids' restrooms were individual, and they
Yeah.
were right there. And then the staff had a workspace right there, and and it was really nice because it was like when I would go in
yeah.
as the science lady to talk to the first grade, we were all in the common area, and I could talk to all the first graders right there, it was, or two classrooms together or whatnot. So I can tell you that I've had a chance to be in this. Now, I've also went to elementary school in a more open concept building than this in Hokie. And that was very loud, and
Yeah.
no walls. At least at Arcanum, they had the full walls, and so they still had their own individual classrooms, but it all was together. And I thought that was really great.
Awesome.
So.
And again, this is something where, again, I'm not saying we're gonna do it, but it provides flexible options. We talk with the consultant, we're really looking at, okay, the school could work not just this way. Instead of pods, you could have a math, science, English, and social studies
Right.
areas, if that's what you wanted. You could do some different configurations. You could easily loop, if we wanted to loop kids through with the same
Right.
teacher. It doesn't change, like, all the kids in kindergarten could go with first grade and you wouldn't know any different, right? They could stay in the same area, they're kind of built in that same way. Well, maybe kindergarten first, because kindergarten is 1,200 square foot roughly, and 900, so there's things like that could be easily managed. It doesn't like, oh, those kids can't go there. Well, they're already kind of next to each other, so it wouldn't make a big difference. So we're considering all those things. The big piece is, again, size, the limitations of the space between the buildings, finding ways to make that happen, and then also working the parking lot and such, so we can allow, the building to be built while we're still operating the schools.
Yeah.
We do have some limitations, but I think we got some creative people with the design and the construction, the consultants, and even our staff that are looking at this.
Creative ways to make it
Making sure
work.
we're gonna make sure we're meeting our needs and getting what we think can be a really, wonderful space for kids.
What are the additional codes for a 3-story that it says on the negatives?
The codes is like the stairwells, like you have to have certain stairwells, like that would be out, like kind of like a hotel. So they're not in the hallways, they're outside, like on the outside of the hallways, you have to do those for stuff like that. You might, just things like that you have to consider. I don't think there's a ton, but you have to be aware of that. You're gonna have 1 elevator, 2 elevators. What are the codes for that? Making sure it's big enough. You don't need a small, elevator. You need a large size elevator to bring pallets or bring stuff in there.
Right.
But I don't, there's just some codes like that you have to be aware of. You gotta have enough square footage and to get to the access to stairwells and different things like that was the biggest one that we've talked about so far.
And when it says that we're over on square footage, what does that mean for us?
Well, the OFC project is 218,000 roughly square foot. So that's what our building needs to fit into, 218,000 square feet. So how do we do that?
Mhm.
That's the question. And a big killer of space is long hallways. Now you have this long hallway that goes all the way down, and think of the high school, right? When they said, hey, you can shove your 7th and 8th graders in there, it's because they're looking at square footage, and you're saying there's plenty of square footage there, but look how wide the hallways are. We have all these landing areas, all the stairwells, all that takes up space, and that's all square footage that they do. So this is their number is 218,000 square foot roughly.
Okay, so A is the only one that falls under that.
Yeah,
Is that based on a price per square foot?
it's based on numbers.
Oh, okay.
So this many kids equals, it's a math problem to them.
And is that a maximum, or is that?
It's a math that they'll help co-fund. If we make it bigger,
Then it's on us.
it's all local money.
Okay.
Yeah. But we think we're really close. I think we're really close to making it, getting there. It seems like a lot, but you can minimize the hallway spaces, the dead spaces, maximize, instead of these long hallways, you fold it back on top of each other a little bit, you can save space with that. But we will definitely, again, I'll just keep everybody informed of all meetings and that you can attend. And again, you're more than welcome to pop in. We can't have more than a couple of you at any of those meetings. But there's a lot of thinking going on, a lot of heads trying to make this work in here.
It's hard to just look at it and not think about actual students, like those decisions, where the students will be with a flexible plan, that can be fluid depending on the needs, right? Let's say we have, a really small kindergarten versus huge 8th grade, right? So it's hard to just look at it and just think of building design. For me, that's really hard to separate the two, like without actually picturing kids in there.
I get what you're saying though, because that's where my mind went to, like how will we adjust each time, So I'm interested to see how this all kind of rolls out together.
Some schools organize their learning teams are K1, 2, and 3. Like they have kids from all different grade levels, or they're all 6th grade, or they're 6, 7, 8. They're like learning communities. So, but what you talked about, the pods, that just gives so much flexibility based on, we don't know what the future is going to hold in education.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
I like all the green outdoor learning space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm excited just about the opportunities that are growing in general. So, all right. Any other discussion on concept? Okay. At this time, I would take a motion to adjourn our work session.
All motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson to adjourn.
Second.
And seconded by Mrs. Dillard. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will vote on the motion to adjourn our work session. Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dillard,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
sorry, I should have said Mr. Maines,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Got-
Mrs. McMurray,
Yes.
and myself is a yes as well. All right, motion passes.
Tylenol would be great, thank you. That, it's fine. I've had a headache since I woke up this morning and I just cannot kick it.